Yours, for me. Is everybody frozen again?
No.
Everyone frozen?
Nope.
Are you
I'm
there?
fine.
Oh, you're here. All right. So Nifemi is the one that's frozen again. All right. Dune, can you stop it for just a moment? Or is Dune frozen as well? Now, this should be an interesting broadcast.
I think people
All
are
right,
used to
I've
that.
lost. Yeah, I've lost Dune, and Dune manages the control. So please give me a moment.
Yeah, sure.
One moment. They will be back. I need to run into the office and see what's going on and then check on. Oh, Dune, you're back.
No. I was actually trying to pause it, pause the recording, pause the stream. So that we don't lose. What happens is Facebook gets lost if we stop it abruptly.
Okay.
So I've done that.
All right. Let me get in touch with Nifemi. He may have to use two devices. I am here, Carla. Just bear with us.
No worries at all. I'm used to this.
Dune, can you try Nifemi from your line? Perhaps it really truly is a network issue. So please give Nifemi a ring. See if you can get through. Thank you. Carla, whilst we're waiting, tell me about your radio show, because I know you have one.
Yes, I've had it for, what year is it now? 20, more than 7 years. It's my baby. Basically, we talk of all aspects of health. It's not just, what goes into your mouth, but also your spiritual, your mental health. It's something I can definitely talk about right now today on the show, as you're talking about enhancing our health. It's something I will be mentioning. But it's engaging because you talk with the listeners, but the viewers, the majority of the viewers or listeners as well, because they view on Facebook Live as well. The level of education, if I can say, is not to the point where I can easily explain about something. So I really need to sometimes, go to their level and explain things in very, very simple ways. And that's the challenging yet interesting part of it as well. So today it's going to be different. I'm sure it's going to be a bit more upscale, but yes, it's amazing how, depending on, which is why I was asking you who's the audience, who's the listener, depending on who the listener is, you kind of mold the conversation to make sure they understand it better.
I think Carla is now frozen.
Oh, am I?
There you are. You're back. Yes, you're back.
Sorry about that. So let's
It's
say
quite
this.
all right.
Let's say this whole freezing thing happens. We don't disconnect, right? We just wait during the show, during the podcast. Can you hear me?
I know you're speaking, but you said let's say, and then I didn't hear what came after
Okay,
that.
can you hear me now?
Are you there? Are you
Yes,
frozen?
I am.
I think
Dr. Amma, I can hear both of you both, but I'm not sure why you can't hear her. I think Dr. Amma is getting frozen.
Well, the most important thing.
So,
okay. All right.
Femi,
welcome back.
Yes, I'm back now. Let's kick start. I'm hoping that this my network works. Are we good to go, Dune? I'm so sorry for.
No worries about it.
It's quite all right. This is, as we said, the part of the joy of being in Nigeria. But Carla, if the network goes in and out, just carry on speaking. It's going to be edited in the end. And, okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Go on, Nifemi. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard. It's yet another beautiful episode of the Thinking Reimagined podcast. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. I think it's been an amazing month of March for women around the world, talking about advocating for women's rights and also advancing a fair play for women. And I believe you're following the trends in Nigeria, women groups protesting at the National Assembly for the passage of gender bills. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone who is listening and watching. Dr. Amma, someone said on WhatsApp that it was more or less like a PTA meeting on WhatsApp, everyone showing their mom's picture. Talk to me about your Mother's Day yesterday. How did it go?
My Mother's Day was very quiet for me. I spend Mother's Day quietly, peacefully. It's a day of self-care for me, to be honest. So I rested. I was in tune with myself and meditated. And then guess what I did? I worked. So I work every day in some fashion or the other, and that's just the truth. And that really is the reality of women entrepreneurs. I am an entrepreneur. I am a successive entrepreneur. So I've got 3 businesses that I am overseeing. So I never really have an entire day that I am completely removed from work, but I do take care of my self-care. It's very, very important to me. So every day I take care of myself and celebrate the woman that I am. So happy Mother's Day to Carla, who is here. Nifemi, to your lovely wife. Ebun, happy Mother's Day. I cherish mothers. I cherish my mothers. I have more than one mother. I have a biological mother, but I've got other mothers and I cherish them wholeheartedly.
Well, shout out to every mother who is watching and listening to this podcast. Thank you for all that you do. I saw a picture yesterday that really, got to me. So it's an image of a woman with many hands and many legs. On her back, she was carrying a baby. There was something on her head. She was washing plates. She was cooking. I mean, it was like doing 1,000,001 things at once. And I'm hoping that that is also that is changing for the women folk, particularly in Africa, where, women get to do everything. And there's just a man in the sitting room reading the magazine and expecting her to cook and, cater to the children. I hope that narrative is changing for good and that women are also getting the kind of help they deserve. Yes, Dr. Ama.
Did you see my quote yesterday for Mother's Day? I don't know if Dune has it available. You should see that quote.
Oh, sorry,
Dune,
I
is
missed
it
it.
available? Oh, how could you miss it? It's all over social media. You
I'm
need to pay
trying to cut
attention,
down on my screen time.
which is important. That is
Yes.
very, very important. But it certainly is one that I'm using this week. Dune, if you have it, you can put it up so everyone can see it. But it basically says women are the bedrock of society. And they
Absolutely.
truly are the bedrock of society.
Absolutely.
So
I
I'm
agree
so
with
glad that
you.
we have this month and that we're celebrating women. But I hope that the celebration and the acknowledgement of women is not
Mm.
limited to 1 month, that it's a daily thing, moment to moment. We celebrate the women in our lives and all that they do, or
So
all those
talking
who think that
about,
they're women.
yes, I think we have it now. Women are the bedrock of society. Um, Uyirima. It's a lovely quote. That talking about bedrock, I think we have how do I pluralize bedrocks now? So we have bedrocks on this episode, and we're joined for the very first time by Carla Nogem. Okay, I'm sure sounds like I didn't get that other name, but in a short while, she'll pronounce her name for us. Carla is a radio personality and media nutrition expert. She attended Notre Dame University, where she studied applied science, and she then attended Global College of Natural Medicine, in which she earned a degree in nutrition. In addition, she obtained a certificate in health coaching from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She was the health and wellness coach at Follett's Gym from 2008 to 2018. And currently, she hosts the health station with Carla on Nigeria Info. Hi, Carla. Thank you so
Well,
much for joining us today.
I should be the one thanking you for this very nice introduction.
Oh, and thank you for all you do on radio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure, Dr. Ama. It's an honor. And I really look forward to the upcoming conversation.
Absolutely. We all do. So we live in special time. I mean, unlike many years ago when people spend time more outdoors and have enough time to rest. There's a lot of technology this day that brings entertainment to our phones. We spend more time on the screen. We're watching our favorite shows at night. We're stressed out with the economy. We're running double jobs. Many people are working from home. I just like you to begin by sharing with us the concept of self-care, because that also seems to have taken a lot of multiple definitions, and there are different ways people see and understand self-care. Can you walk us through what you consider self-care to be?
Definitely. I mean, if I could say it in one sentence, that would be perfect. But if I were to say it in one sentence, and I can easily elaborate for you eventually, I guess, throughout the show, it's if you really want to tap into the core of self-care, you have to not just feed your body, but you have to feed your soul. And there's a lot I can say about that. I don't know if now is my turn to elaborate or we'll talk further about that. But if I had to summarize this in one sentence, it would be that you feed your body and you feed your soul. It's not just about the food that comes in. There's more to it.
I'm wondering what the soul eats. I can tell what the body eats.
Well, I can start if you want. I mean,
yes,
we all need food to enhance our health. This is something where we all know. Food is very essential to everyday life, and it can actually be quite enjoyable, as we all know, as part of living. And we do have to have a healthy relationship with it, of course. And this is the kind of foods that feeds your body. It's called the secondary food, actually. Your body needs the right carbs, the right proteins, the right fat, the right minerals, and so on. And that's in order for your organ systems to function properly. We all know that. But there's the other thing I would like to point out. It's that you can eat all the broccolis and healthy smoothies in the world and still be unhappy, still be mentally depressed or unfulfilled, or even have episodes of eating disorders. And that's not healthy. There are many other ways you need to nourish yourself in order to enhance your health. And it does not stop with what goes into your mouth. We need to put our intention onto the things that feed our minds, our souls, and our hearts, instead of just zeroing it all on what we put in our mouth. And only when it comes to enhancing our health do we have to really focus on that. So it's all about balance. And there's this concept that we call primary foods as well. So what is primary food? It goes beyond what you put on your plate. It's your need for relationships, your need for connection, your need for love, your need for movement, happiness, pleasure, spirituality, purpose, even fulfillment, whether it's academically, professionally, or on a personal level. And it's what you do to satisfy your hunger for life. And most importantly, it's about balancing those elements. So primary food can be, let's say, your passion for art. It could be your love for music. It could be smelling your favorite scent when you enter the bakery, a hug from your mom, or the calm you feel after a long talk with your friends. It could be, so much more. It could be a quiet moment for yourself, or finishing that book you've been wanting to read, treating yourself into mental health, or pushing yourself to complete a to-do list. It's all about balancing. And primary food is those daily things that make you feel alive, make your life feel meaningful, and give you a sense of wonder. So these are the two kinds of food. You've got the secondary food, which is what feeds your body, and the primary foods, which is what I just mentioned, what feeds your soul. So it's really very important. Body and soul, they have to come hand in hand and balance each other.
I like that Carla has set the tone for this conversation. So we're beginning with primary food, Dr. Amma, and she's talking about what feeds the soul. I can tell, Dr. Amma, that impacting young ladies, young girls around the world is one of it for you. And I know that you're also writing a book. I'd like you to also talk to us about what Carla just mentioned. When you think of self-care, online, it's about going on vacation, just lounging, taking a glass of wine, trying to take your mind away from stress. But she seemed to be saying something spectacular that all of us must begin to pay attention to, Dr. Amma.
Well, Carla's really started the tempo for today's discussion, and I really like that. But self-care, really, as Carla has said, is taking care of yourself. But really, it's purposeful, conscious activities, strategies that we do to take care of our physical body, our mental, emotional, spiritual, name it, and the brain. I am into the brain, so all of that is encompassed. And when you recognize the significance of all those aspects to bring together a balanced person, then you begin to understand why during the pandemic, when people were locked away in their homes, people were derailing because they weren't getting that self-care in the manner that they were used to it. Part of the reason that people are talking about the great resignation, which is I call the great getaway, is because in this time that they've had 2 years to realize that they were out of balance, they're recognizing that they need to do work that is meaningful for them. That is the soul. That's the primary food she's talking about. Feeding the soul is doing work that's purposeful, work that's intentional, work that's meaningful, work that's fulfilling. When you can't have that, then sort of everything else is out of sync. And then you derail, you've got emotional, mental issues that you're dealing with. So it is important to recognize self-care. I said earlier, I work every day, but I take care of myself every single day. I walk 15 kilometers a day, 4 days a week minimum. I do it because I recognize the sense of fulfillment I receive from accomplishing that, but I also recognize the endorphins and the hormonal level that I have that makes it easier for me to engage with people, yes, gives me energy, but I'm happy throughout my day because everything is there. Is it the oxytocin? I'm in love with myself and with others. Is it the dopamine? Wow, that's my reward for the day. Is it the serotonin that moisturizes my brain and lets my level of anxiety or anything else suppress? You just need to do these things for yourself. So it is not selfish to take care of yourself. It is important that people spend the time recognizing that it's more than, as she has said, the secondary food. It's more than ingesting food. It's taking care of yourself spiritually, emotionally, mentally, that, and your brain. That brings you to that platform from which you can interact and have connections and relationships with people.
Let me make an attempt at some mischief. I think that my primary food is money.
Mm-hmm.
Give me money and my soul will be okay. And that seems to be the conversation that you hear on social media. But I'd like us to talk to people who are stranded by, economic needs and the circumstances within, our nation and some other, countries that are facing what Nigeria is facing currently. So you talk about what you do, that ministers to your soul. However, there are people who do not have the luxury, who don't even have the luxury to take a walk. I mean, they are working, yet their needs are not met, they're in debt. There's so much anxiety and it stems out of not having enough. How do these individuals also get some comfort and some relief, some primary food, some ministry into their soul, which I believe you're talking about, Dr. Amma?
Yes, it starts with intention, and intentional living is very important. And Carla actually alluded to that. You mentioned that your primary food is money. I would like you to realize that money is an end product of activities, but it's not really your primary food. Money is an end product of activity, but it's not your primary food. So we need to go back to what is your intention? Your intention is not about getting money. Your intention is something else. If you can identify your intention, then every single day you feed your soul as you see yourself work towards that intention by putting attention to it, right? So what is your real intention is beyond earning money. Money is just the byproduct. Money is an outcome. But what do you want to do? Why is that money important to you? If you focus on that, you're going to have greater fulfillment in your life.
Carla, what do you think?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because now the topic has really deviated even further away from what I expected, but that's really good. The thing with money, and I get a lot of calls, whenever I talk about eating healthy or finding happiness, most of the time, and you're absolutely right, the topic of money is always on the top three, not excuses, but, where's the money? There are many things I can say about money. Number one, you may have all the money in the world. Let's say you have all the money in the world. You'll enjoy it for a day, or 2 days, a year, 2 years. But then again, does it really buy you true happiness? Once you've bought all the things you want to buy, once you've, gotten all the material desires you need, does it give you health the way you would need to? There are so many things you can talk about money. I'm not saying money is not important. In cases, it is having the basic necessities, having a roof on top of your head, being able to pay for education, definitely. But as Dr. Amma said, money is really a byproduct of whatever it is you want to go on and venture in your life. It's if you want to find happiness, it's not necessarily through money. And all the famous people out there who have made their money tell you the same thing. What I can say for people who think that their primary food is money, such as yourself, the first thing you should think about is social media. For me, social media has a huge impact on people's desire to always have money, because for them, they need to afford this, they need to afford that. And also this whole comparison of seeing what others are doing and never being content with what you have, and always trying to say, if I have this, I will be happier, I will be more fulfilled. Being content, I think, for me, is the most important state of mind you need in order to find happiness and health. And there's a Chinese saying that says, I used to have no shoes until I saw a man with no feet. And this is it, and I actually blame social media a lot. I've done a lot of shows on the good sides and the bad sides of social media, but this whole showing off the money, the fame, the luxury makes you think that this is what happiness is. And we need to land back on earth and realize that money is really a byproduct of people who are maybe successful, but it doesn't necessarily make you healthy and happy. Once again, you can see from people who are famous, people who are very rich, they go through a lot of depression, although materialistically speaking, I don't know if this word exists, they are actually fulfilled, but they're unhappy, high suicide rates, drugs, and a very unhealthy lifestyle. So that makes you put a question mark. Is it really money that's going to be your primary food? Once again, it's really debatable. I don't know, Dr. Amma, would you like to add something to that?
Well, the truth of the matter is all of us intrinsically seek happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. Of course. All of us. So happiness is really a primary food. It's recognized. Everybody wants, desires happiness. So if happiness is a primary food for you, you want to be happy, then what is it that you need to always have that sense or state of happiness? That's a primary food. And then you can begin to define what is your intention as a happy person. Is it about health? Is it about agility? What is it that you want? But it's not money. Money is not a primary food. Happiness is a primary food. Love yes. Is an energy. It's an energy that you share with yourself and your circle of friends. And then you begin to share it with others that you don't know. That gives you a deep sense of fulfillment. And that in itself is a form of self-care. To love yourself and then to love those within your circle fills you up. And then you're more open to going out and doing the things that you want. I talked about that great resignation, or what I call the great getaway. It's people recognizing that I am in a job, I'm working a job where I'm making a lot of money, but I am not happy. I am not healthy. I am not fulfilled. I am just earning. So what is it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If I could add to that, Dr. Amma, there's one thing we should all understand. It's the concept of bio-individuality. We are very much different. What may make me happy may make you feel indifferent. So happiness is a primary food, but getting happiness is through many other stages. As Dr. Amma said, it could be finding happiness through your career, your spirituality. If you enjoy this whole, prayer can be part of your spirituality, home cooking for people, physical activity, health, creativity, joy, social life, home environment, relationships, even finance. If you have a financial stability and a financial intelligence, it is important, but it's not the main player here. Even your education, your learning. So all these have to come in balance in order for you to find happiness. In my case, just like Dr. Amma said, there was a time I opened a home catering business, and it was really growing. I was really ready to expand. That was before the Naira went all the way down. It was like 2017, was it? 16, when the whole devaluation started going down all the way. So I was really in between. Shall I continue or not with the home cooking? I was catering for 25 people every day, but I was not, although I was at home, I was not present for my kids. I was always in the kitchen, and it was a one-man show with finances, with the logistics, with everything. I had no longer had a social life because I was all day working and all night working. So I was doing a lot of money, and now I get it why restaurants are popping up like mushrooms in Lagos. I totally do. But was I having the social life that usually makes me happy? Was I finding time to exercise as I usually do? Was I spending enough time with my kids for the home environment to be in balance? No. So I had to make this decision, and I stopped doing the home catering and shifted to something else in my field, which gave me more time to focus on other stuff as well in order to balance my life. So that's really it. What drives you? And just like Dr. Amma said, you will find happiness, but not necessarily because you're rich.
Absolutely. I think that we're having a great conversation here. By the way, I was just being mischievous about the money part. I wanted to identify with the many viewers we may have who have this at the back of their minds. I like what you said about contentment. I think that what we're driving out here is that all of us might have to take a pause to be able to identify the most important things in life and give a meaning to our existence so that we don't keep driving ourselves. There are times when you have this desire and this ambition and you keep driving yourself until you get there and you're finding out, well, it really doesn't matter after all, that there are things, like you said, family are more important than making money and also doing things that give you joy and happiness. All right, let's move on to secondary food, because I know that you have a lot of expertise in that area. So we had a conversation with Dr. Amma the other time, and she was talking to us about intermittent fasting. I'm not sure if I got that, but there's this issue with obesity. Particularly amongst the female folks, everyone wants to look trim. I actually don't know where that is coming from, because in Africa, we like our woman plump and on the big side. But science and doctors are saying that you can also afford to be too big. It's not good for your health. Well, I'd like you to just talk to us about what we must do, particularly paying attention to our bodies, because we need the body to be able to carry out our assignment here.
Yes, that's a very good question. And indeed, being big is actually a sign of wealth, if I'm not mistaken. In Nigeria, I know from my days in Kano when I was a little girl, the bigger the belly, the wealthier the guy, the more bread on the table. So
give money to the pot-bellied
yes.
guy.
Now it's gradually shifting. It's gradually shifting, very slowly but surely. And people, yes, thanks to the internet and all the information that's easily accessible out there, people are getting more informed. People are realizing that having a big belly might not be a good thing after all, and it might be a sign of underlying health conditions. But if I were to talk about being healthy and eating healthy and keeping a good physique, if I could say, there's one thing that stands out in Nigeria, and it's an ingredient that's really consumed more than it should, and it's hidden in so many foods. And I am one of the how can I say, the people who really keep on talking about this on many of my shows, and it's sugar. I think Nigerians don't realize how much sugar is hidden in so many foods, whether it's and I'm going to name the foods that you see Nigerians eating the most: sweetened yogurt drinks that are everywhere, soft drinks. That's really a main thing. And all the sweets and the cakes and things that were maybe not available back then as much as they are now. So if one wants to focus on health, I think sugar is one of the big things we should focus on. You did mention intermittent fasting. And once again, I'm back to the topic of bioindividuality. Intermittent fasting, let me really summarize it in a very simple way. It's mainly having a short window of time where you're allowed to eat, and then fasting, excluding water, of course, throughout the day. So it could be 18 hours of fasting versus 6 hours of food, or 20 hours of fasting versus 4 hours of food. Now, the thing is, people, because whenever there's a diet, and before intermittent fasting, it was the keto diet. Before that, there's always something new coming up. So you keep on hearing something. But the thing is that whenever something new comes up, it starts being interpreted in so many different ways that people lose track of the actual focus of that lifestyle or diet. The right way for intermittent fasting, and people misunderstand this once again, it's not that you can eat whatever you want, whatever time you want throughout the, let's say, 6-hour window of food. The right way to do it is only 2 meals during this 6-hour window. And let alone, not just that, there are also selections of what kind of foods you can eat. So once again, intermittent fasting can work for me, but it might not work for you, Nifemi. So it's really something people have to dig into their own bio-individuality, see what works for them, what health problems they may be having, because let's face it, if you have specific health problems, some diets don't work for you. But if I were to once again focus on one thing for Nigeria, it would be sugar. Sugar is a main culprit for so much obesity, especially in the high class where sedentary lifestyle has taken over. You have the labor worker that eats agege bread and has soft drinks throughout the day and he doesn't gain weight, but that's because his energy expenditure is big. He can allow himself to eat because he burns a lot. But for the people from another end of the spectrum who don't need to work much when it comes to movement and just eat and eat, sugar and westernized food like junk food has really taken its toll.
Wow, that's
Absolutely.
That's a lot.
And I wanted to add to that carbohydrates. Nigerians consume a massive amount of carbohydrates, and they don't realize that carbohydrates actually turn into sucrose, which is a form of sugar, and that doesn't help your body at all. And then you start having joint issues as you get older because of the buildup in the joints. But there's so many things that really people must be aware of: the carbohydrates, the sugars, it's just it's unnecessary. When I spoke about intermittent fasting, which I do practice and I've been practicing for decades, it really was about brain health. And because I know it's about brain health. Yes.
I practice it too, by the way, but not for the weight loss, just like you, for so many other reasons.
No. I practice it for other reasons. It's not about weight loss for me. And anyone who has seen me knows that that's not my issue. My issue is my brain. I want my brain to work at an optimal level. And I know when and how to trick my brain, although now it's a natural way for me to work and for me to live. So I do practice intermittent fasting and it works for me. And I tweak it once in a while, depending on if I'm going to be speaking. But that's a little bit more intense to explain how it works, but it's the way the brain works naturally when you go through intermittent fasting. So I did bring it up, and I do practice it, and I've practiced for decades, and it works for me. But my big thing in Nigeria is the amount of carbohydrate and the amount of sugar that people consume, and they're not consuming enough water. It seems cheaper to buy a Coca-Cola than to drink water. So, which water is natural and should be available for anyone to have clean drinking water. And yet people can't find clean drinking water. And when they do, they're concerned about where the water has come. I don't know what you call those sachets or bags of water. You see people filling up water from a gutter, all of those things. But the reality is water should be available. Clean water should be available to people. And more children should be drinking water, not Coca-Cola and Fanta and all of those things. They can burn it off because they're more active. But if you get them into that lifestyle, then they're not drinking water. But you need water more than anything. But there's certain industries that push certain products because they make money from pushing those products. But people need to be informed. And this is all part of self-care. Being informed is part of self-care. Reading about things, listening to things. We're in a digital age where everything is available on the internet. So have a look, read, but it will make a difference in later on in life. We look at the level of depression that we have. We look at the level of obesity we have. We look at the level of chronic illness. It all comes back to those secondary foods, and making those adjustments now is very critical.
Absolutely. I like the motivation for
Tiffany, are
your
you there?
intermittent
We lost
fasting.
you.
Oh, I'm right
I
here.
think-
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
It's the truth. Yes, it's the truth.
Can you hear me,
It's why
Dr.
I
Amma?
do it. I do it for my brain. Yes, I can hear you,
Yeah.
Tiffany. I can hear you.
I like your motivation.
So the
for
truth is I do
intermittent
it for my
fasting.
brain, and I do it for my brain.
Yes, I like your motivation, but if I ask you to mention how old you are, then the viewer can tell that it's beyond the brain. I mean, you haven't aged much since I met you, and that's many years ago. So I might also adopt it as one of your secret for looking this youthful. But I like Carla to speak to us. Yes, I like Carla to speak to us about how to break this addiction, because there are many people who are addicted to sugar, and they are working. For instance, there are times where I found out that it's even not easy to snack on healthy things, particularly the things you can find around you. You're at work, you're hungry, you just need something to snack on. The only option is soda or something sweet, and God bless you, you have a sweet tooth. How do we begin to break this addiction, and how much of a sustainability can we get from it?
There's an interesting talking about how addictive sugar is. There was once an experiment that was done with rats or mice, if I'm not mistaken, one of both. And they compared sugar to cocaine, and they actually gave the mice cocaine and sugar separately, of course, and they then took them off, and they saw how their reaction was once they were off the sugar and once they were off the cocaine. It was harder for them to get off the sugar than it was to get off the cocaine. So that tells you a lot about how addictive sugar can be. Yet that does not tell you it's impossible, because it's happened. People who were so addicted to sugar stopped. The thing is, and once again, just like Dr. Amma said, you have to do a conscious decision. Nothing comes easily, especially when it comes to stopping an addiction. And the best way to stop an addiction to sugar is to go cold turkey in terms of stopping the sugar completely. But some people find a perfect way to wean off sugar gradually. So let's say you're used to having a lot of sugar in your coffee. Instead of 5 spoons, reduce that to 4, then 3, then 2, and that's throughout maybe a few months. That works. If you're used to having fizzy drinks, you start replacing that fizzy drinks with a bit more water whenever you're thirsty. It's really a question of each person's way of doing things, but it's not impossible. And specifically carbs can be addictive too. If whenever you've eaten, you feel lethargic, sleepy, or you have constant headaches, or you have lethargy, or you keep on having something sweet to munch on throughout the day, there's something that's called glucose intolerance. Basically, it's because your insulin levels are going on a roller coaster ride. They're not stabilized. And that's what makes you have this addiction or this urge to have something sweet every time. And the best way to do that, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Carla.
So the best way to do that is, once again, gradually start reducing your sugar intake. And I'm not just talking about table sugar. Just once again, soft drinks, instead of 3 bottles, go down to 2, then to 1. But it's really something you should be willing to do, because when you withdraw from an addiction, whether it's sugar or any other addiction, you have to feel bad before feeling better. And the worse you feel after withdrawing, the more that shows how addicted you were. I have had clients who have had extreme headaches for 2 days and completely in their beds. They couldn't get up because they stopped a specific food or specifically sugar. But after that, they started feeling better. And definitely after that they could see the difference. Sugar is so bad. It affects your skin, your body from the inside out. I mean, I can go on with the list, but I'll never finish by the end of this podcast.
You know, there's the perception that healthy food alternative is more expensive and that it's cheaper to, feed on junks and all of this. What do you speak to this? Is it a myth?
Sorry, I didn't get the first sentence. I got it to junk.
Okay, I said there's a perception.
Yeah.
Some people believe that alternative healthy food is more expensive.
Yes, well, it's not a myth or a perception. It's true. Unfortunately, in some cases, like in other countries, I'm not going to take Nigeria now as an example because we are still blessed with some organic foods and the non-GMO foods. There's maybe just cottonseed and some other kind of crop, soybean. I mean, maybe that has been in the market. I don't know, Dr. Amma, you might be more informed than I am in this. But it's not every single vegetable you buy that is genetically modified in that terms. Should I go on, or would you like to say something?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
We're still blessed in Nigeria that we can still have the local farmer, the local butcher, the local chicken man, and the local milk or what have you. I lost myself in my thoughts right now. Yeah, so it is cheaper. Yes, this is why once again, Nigerians are consuming a lot of carbs, because the swallow is cheaper than the meat. The pomo is cheaper than the meat. So the food quality, the ratio from protein to carbs has shifted drastically because of the economic situation most people are going through. Unfortunately, it is true, but that doesn't mean you can't eat healthy on a budget. It is more convenient to go there and buy the instant noodle with the whatever it is they sell it with. But if you're organized, you can always find something you can cook at home, carry your snacks around. As simple as a fruit and some granola can be a very healthy snack. It doesn't have to be the let's say the meat pie they sell on the road, which is processed, or anything else. So it's really a question of finding your right choices on a budget. It's possible, but it is, of course, a conscious decision. Dr. Amma, I'm sure you'd want to add to that.
Well, I wanted to just piggyback on Carla's statement about the organic foods that are natural here. I think some of the best fruits I've had in my X amount of decades is really here in Nigeria. I mean, think about the seasonal fruits that we have in Nigeria. And I have food allergies, so there are a lot of things I cannot consume. But even within any given season, I find some fruit that I absolutely enjoy. I'm actually in one of my favorite seasons with agbalumo. I love agbalumo. I can eat it every day, every night and carry on. I just love it. I love the taste. I crave it and I enjoy it. But there are fruits that are available. Groundnut, I'm allergic to groundnut, but people can eat groundnut. Bananas are abundant over here. And that also has the benefit of potassium. So eat the things that are available and easily affordable, and that will help you. Vegetables, protein, cut down on the carbs. I mean, just reduce the amount of carbs. I see people eating heaps of rice and all the other things, and I wonder, can you just have a little bit more of the soup or do something else to balance your intake, and drink lots of water. It's really about changing the makeup of the plate so that you're having a more balanced meal, because when you have the right nutrients in your body is a lot more efficient and effective. And you can then ward off illness and all the other things that come to light. But being conscious of it is very, very important. At the end of the day, self-care is about reducing the ailments that can come into your life by just nourishing your body, whether it's your mind, your body, your brain, your spirit. That's what we want people to do, is nourish yourself in all ways possible, as opposed to depleting yourself and wondering why you're depressed, you're anxious, you can't sleep, you're having burnout. All of those come back to just having the right primary foods and balancing that with the right secondary foods.
Yeah.
So health is, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, one thing I'd like to add with what Dr. Amma said about the swallows, it's very true. It's like they pile up a lot of rice and swallows and the stew is always little. We are blessed in Nigeria to have green leaves, whether it's ugu, whether it's bitter leaf, whether it's all these leaves. Just dip them up in a stew and have them. They are filled with so many nutrients and they fill you up with so much fiber as well. Instead of having the swallow, which really, really takes your sugar on a roller coaster ride, your blood sugar levels, and that's not what you want.
It's important that we know that
and they're
health, sorry?
And they're cheap. The leaves are still cheap. I mean, it's on you can have them on a budget.
Absolutely. However, I don't think that both of you are the perfect guest for healthy living on a budget. You look richer than that. I'm just kidding, by the way. I'd like us to wrap up now and talk to stress management, because that's where many people have the issues. The traffic situation in Lagos is terrible. I mean, you just might have to do more of hard work and smart work to have all of your needs met. But how do you guys deal with stress? I just wanted to share that very quickly before we go. Starting with Carla.
I will say, go with Carla. Please, Carla, go ahead. You're the guest.
I'd like to see what
you have to say. I insist.
Okay. So let me be honest, Nifemi. I don't know how it's going to come out, but I'm not in a place to say I don't take the bus every day to go to work. I don't stay 3 hours in traffic every day to go to work. I don't commute from VI to God knows where every day. I can't say I'm in a place where I can say I know what it feels like. But all I can say is it's really a state of mind and knowing how to deal with what you already have. It's not easy. Life in Nigeria for the common person is very difficult in terms of logistics, finding your way to work, coming back home, having to deal with family and everything. One thing I could say that really helps is to really get things down to reality. You might stay 3 hours in the bus going to work because of traffic, and it could be stressful. But I had given an advice to a friend once to just put your headphones there and listen to something, listen to music, to some classical music or to some prayers. Try and find the best out of every situation. Life is not easy. Sometimes some people are more blessed than others when it comes to having to deal with everyday stress. Life will always throw some stressful situation at us. I might not go through the stress of 3 hours traffic, but I do deal with my own stress. And I believe it's how you deal with it that makes a difference. And how to deal with it, once again, it all depends on yourself. What makes you happy? What gives you that peace of mind? I had a friend who had constant problems with her married life. So she found someone to help her out, a counselor to help her out, and that reduced the stress. So it's really very general. I'm giving very broad advice here. Dr. Amma, would you like to add to that?
Well, Nifemi knows this about me, that I'm going to talk about sleep, don't you, Nifemi?
Oh, yeah.
Because sleep is so important. And I am going to be the first, I'm going to follow Carla and say, yes, it is true that life in Nigeria is stressful. I put my hand up as well because I have stresses, although my stresses may differ from yours. We're all still dealing with the issues of water, electricity, traffic. It affects every single person who exists in Nigeria. But sleep is important. Try to go to bed at the same time every day and wake up at the same time. It helps regulate your brain. It helps regulate your body. Try to listen to music or listen to prayers, as Carla said, or meditate. I am a meditator. I meditate every day. I start my day with a meditation. I am known to meditate in the middle of the day. I am known to repeat affirmative words to myself because that helps me remain regulated and centered. Believe me, there's a lot of stress, but I don't want this stress to dysregulate me because I may misbehave in a manner that's not who I am. I also believe that people should have pictures of loved ones with them, those that make you happy, those that bring joy to you, or have words that keep you in flow, because really it's about flowing through the day. If you keep those around you, whether it's a small card, whether it's on your phone, do something with it so that when you're in a stressful situation, like sitting in traffic, or you're making that 3-hour journey to the office, you look at it and it lightens your heart and it makes you feel connected. Those kinds of little things make a difference. And on the weekends, I like to really impact this on people. People need to learn to say no to activities that take time away from self-care. You don't have to go to every party. You don't have to go to every activity. You can actually say, I need to rest. I need to take care of myself. We need to encourage people to be able to say, no, I'm not ready for this. No, I cannot do this. No, I am tired. No, it's perfectly fine to say no. And you will find out that when you say no, you're actually saying yes to yourself. When
right.
you say no, it's yes to you. Yes, that I love myself. Yes, that I desire some more time. Yes, that I want to read a book. Yes, that I just want to be in this place in this moment. So those things are very important at all times. It's the only way I know to get through this cycle of no water, no electricity, traffic, blah, 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 inflation. Everyone is going through it. It's how you adjust to it that helps you build that resilience. And with resilience, then you can overcome any situation.
Dr. Amma, I think you saved the best for the last. Thank you for sharing that. And by the way, I'm going getting my wife's picture and that of the girls. I'm going to paste it all across the car everywhere I go. Thank you so much.
Put it close to you. Just put it close to you so you always know it's there for you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dr. Amma, thank you for sharing. Carla, good to see you. Hopefully we'll have more of you joining this podcast. We're so grateful you came. Thank you for sharing with us. A big thank you to everyone who's watched online and who will be listening later on all of our podcast platforms. You are so special to us, and you're the reason why we're doing this. Thank you, Dr. Amma and Kala. See you again next time. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye. Bye for now.
Thank you, Carla.